What's up? What's up? Back again. Been a while since I did an episode. Lot to cover. I want to go through two games, and uh, this time I want to look at two games we actually won, and just a bit where we've come. You've noticed I've changed the banner from a journey of a noob to a journey of a bronze. I genuinely think myself and the team has taken a step up, and I'm happy to see sort of how we've developed, what we've sort of learned. And I want to go through another game with me, J3K and 13 Villages. I mean, we've been playing quite a bit together. We played two games back to back. We won the two, but I want to look at some of these games and just talk about it. So let's take a look at these games. The first game I'm looking at is uh, we won the game. I think we did take it all the way to the 40th minute. Just give me 1 second. So yeah, I got my family here. Okay, so let's take a look at just how things that you can see the total unit count, and one of the things that we've tried to do was to try and produce units consistently throughout the game and try to make sure that we get a production out. Now, total unit count's always difficult to look, but total villager count, I must say, myself and 13 villagers have really been on point with this. There's a couple of things. So there's obviously then just the fact that we've built this habitually, but also 13 villages has been playing primarily with one serve and been sticking to it, adjusting his build order, understanding his building pattern. And I think for anybody who's sort of coming into the game, that's an important thing. I personally like to do that. Well, I try to do that where I stick with one serve for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and I just make sure that it's almost part of muscle memory in terms of how I build it. Now military count as well. This is something that I think all of us struggle with, be it 13 villages, be it J3K and myself. But with Zuzi's legacy, the way that the service set up is done in such a way that you get your age up benefits through the production of military units. Now, okay, cool. You can see that we take around a 15 mark to a 30 mark only around the 12th minute. Still not like the best, if I compare to Everyday Nest, my brother who plays. But I think largely we've done a good job. And then and most of the cities you can see up, they start peaking together over here, and we sort of kind of uh, stabilize over here. But I think the nice thing is we focused on, we have a balance between aging up and we have a balance between unit production, and I think I've done that really well. I've aged early, like along with everyone. I then aged on the third, and then I aged on the fourth before almost everyone else. I think Op didn't even get a chance to age up with in terms of the pressure. So very good game. I want to look at the replay, and there's a couple of things in the game that I want to talk about that's good. So we talked about some of the things we got there now, the habits that develops as part of playing with oneself, understanding the build order, getting habit of continuously producing villages, getting military out. But as this game goes, I just want to talk about how it looks. Now, this is a good team. If you look at there's a site called Age of Empires 4 World, if somebody, or AOE 4 World, if somebody hasn't used it. It's such a good site because it shows you the team's ratings, the team's history, and it just gives you a sense of how strong or how well you're doing and how strong the opposition is doing. Okay, so I am playing with the Zuzi Legacy. I've started playing them for about maybe a week now, and I really like the server. I think coming from a background of playing with China, it does sort of help you with the nuances of them, like the Imperial Officer, like the cannons as part of the age up buildings. So these sort of nuances about the server helps. So one of the things I like of what I did, and I think this is something for anybody to learn, is I'm not afraid to go to the middle of the map. This map is set up in such a way that everybody's got a separate section for each of the um, for each of the you know, for your landmark. You've got the up over here, and everybody sort of got these small enclaves of where your base is. And often when you enclose like this, you do feel like you want to stay contained in your area. But I think one of the things we do quite well here is we actually go ahead and push up, you know. I give that call to my team to become comfortable in that, and you'll see that as time goes on, we actually go ahead and make that a bit of a norm. Okay, so you got J3K here. Starting to go on Hood because he's getting comfortable with his age up, and this is always nice because, you know, it does give you that ability to get onto unit production relatively soon. But the moment I start getting my age up, I put my age up building outside of my TC, outside of the sort of, you know, where my town center is. And this particular age up building allows you, it encourages you to build production units or production buildings to generate units, and because that's where you get the bonuses of this thing one, and that's what I liked about it. That's what my unit production is. Now I'm starting to make sure that we have a foothold in the map, okay? And I think, yeah, I just you know, I take my villages off of meat at that point. After once my age up starts, and I make sure they're on Hood, and I use my first a little bit of Hood just to wall up a bit, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna forward by ×4, and I just want to take a look at what my teammates does. We do 13 villages, you know, tucks in nicely, but he's been scouting out ahead. So yeah, standard starts, goes heavy on gold. I always like to know what 13 does, because he's playing with Order of the Dragon. Sorry, Knights Templar, and he needs to, you know, these villages that just gather Hood, it just makes the Hood gather rate really fast. I'm gonna go see if I can bring in the stats quickly. I'm just taking a look at our not current resources. I think it's collected resources. Yeah, this is where that thing is. Oops, military, let's go to collected resources. Okay, so that's where we're kind of sitting at right now, and I'll just revisit this again. I'm in the lead with meat, and that's because I went pro scouting. I'm in the meat with Hood, that's because I went early on the Hood, and because of my Imperial Officer, I think I've got an edge in also keeping up with the rest of the teams in terms of gold collection, which is why I love the server. So at this point in time now, you know, the team decides to play that game. This is where I think the real strength in winning this game was we decided to control the map. Opposite, you know, sort of looking at doing a bit of a raid unit, or smashing unit. And I thought, you know what, let me go out here and see what things look like. And that sort of gave us a bit of a peek of the army as well. Don't be afraid to reach out and, you know, hit your opposition, especially in the early game, because it forces them to do a play. Now they're coming out, they're looking threatening, and yeah, we sort of come out here, and that's what I've got to do, a little bit of micro. Luckily my teammates got a lot of op to help with. I'm coming in with my Zuzing News, and I got another round of horses that was there to stop the raid unit. And yeah, now we know what our target is. And I think the bad news for the opposition is they're playing the same way. They're playing within their bases. You can see here, Byzantines playing within their bases, and you know, Byzantines, they need that room in order to make these buildings count. You know, Green just going normal, and Japan, you know, doing their thing. But I think this is the map IQ we're talking about, because these guys actually had decent ratings. I mean, the ELO rating is actually higher than our team, but we were brave. Now this is the teamwork coming in. We know that Justin was vulnerable, or J3K was vulnerable at the point. Excellent play from 13 Villager. Decides to cover up the weak spot there by building a tower there. I wanted, I'm always a little bit greedy. I was hoping actually I would have a tower more towards my side. I do look a bit vulnerable here. I initially did tackle this. But yeah, but you can see we're controlling the map. We're getting comfortable with the resources. And let's take a look at the collected resources again. And I'm well in the lead of most of the teammates. And I think that's the nice thing about Zuzi's legacy. I'm able to find that balance between collecting resources and producing units. I love it. Absolutely. At the moment, I'm twice as much ahead as J3K, and I'm about at least 2k ahead of the most second collected in meat. That's because of the pro scouts, and my hood is still in the lead. I mean, this is really good play for myself, I must say. And it's don't be afraid to pro scout. Look at your team strengths and play towards it. Okay, now we're controlling the map, and we have a target that we want to do. We're going towards the resources outside of our base, and op they don't have a choice. They compact it in. They have to sort of go out now and go out cautiously. You know, units are being built up. They're basically relying on sales. They're out of gold. Yeah, it's tricky for them now. Okay, we're controlling the map, and because I've got that resource advantage, I'm not scared to sort of make a play. We're collecting relics, playing comfortably in the middle. Map got 2 relics. Oh, well done, Justin. Okay, nice play, and we're getting comfortable. Okay, so let's see what the boys do. Okay, so we reach at this time. We're building units, and we got a lot coming in. I want to pause here and just take a look at the total resources now between the two teams, right? We're well ahead. I mean, look at that. I mean, Blackjack, Big Jack, and I think he's got one of the highest elo ratings between the rest of his teammates. I'm at H4 already. I'm 3,000 ahead on most of my resource streams. I've got so much gold, so much more gold, because he has to go out of his base in order to get that gold. Yes, he's got the stone, but I'm not too far behind. We're smoking everyone. Me and 13 villages, we're really well ahead of everything. There shouldn't be an excuse for us losing this game, and shouldn't be an excuse for us being comfortable in the game. I'm able to age up early. So Justin did get that raid early, and that sort of just sort of threw him up in terms of where he needed to focus his resources. But we're comfortable in the game. We got map control, right? Excellent. And I'm always playing the game, and I'm always a little bit nervous to where the landmark stares. But yeah, I'll come back to me there again. More units coming out. Gold being recovered. Not many units from Justin at this stage. Well, he does have a little bit tidbits here and there. I think he's rather trying to do a little bit of raids. Long range comes up. Green decides to make a push here. Now, I was a bit slow. Listen to me later. I was a little bit slow when it came to my archer production. Okay? I needed help here. He does quite a good job damaging me. But I keep producing those units. And Op can't keep up with the production here. I get some help from my teammates, and now it's wipeout time, bro. Now it's wipeout time. He can't sustain it, and that's the power of getting map control. That's the power of having a resource bar and not waiting for too long. Because I broke down his tower here, and that sort of forced him to make a play. I've got my backup wall here, and that sort of just gives me a little bit of recompense, when I need to. And I've got my teammates are comfortable as well. Op couldn't press, they couldn't really give any support play. So we'll take a look at how that game develops now again. Right, so this side, I've tried to give the pressure here, but I'm going to take the focus away there. We do have light blue starting to make some moves. He needs to go for stone, he needs to go for gold. And yeah, their mistake again, coming out too late. My thing is just doing damage, peppering that thing over there. They decide to go, they have to sort of spread out the gold, and by this time, it's over. We're talking about 30 different, we call it taxis, coming here, and we knew who the target man was. He pressed early, he put a target on your back, and he just couldn't sustain himself because, you know, we did the job. You know, those type of taxis finishes up the job, and yeah, I mean, look at that. There's no real answer to this now, and what a wipeout, man! What a wipeout. And I'm having a little bit of a mini battle with Green here. Every time I come forward, he's got a good composition for this. Good composition he's got for us, but they're struggling on resources, man. They're struggling on resources. They wall up every now and then, and that just encourages me more to try and go on siege. And I end up sort of doing little skirmishes here and there. Doesn't work out. Yellow's now just taking that same set of ladies, going through to green. And yeah, they can't really keep it up. Let's see what Red's up to. My teammate. Okay, back again, just take a little bit of a pause there. I think J3K would have wanted to be a bit more involved in the game. But I mean, John, this is what a play this is, man. And here, I decided to go Bs, you know, because of this wall defense strategy. The game is done. The game is done. I mean, it was just solid play. Map control. Don't be afraid to go out early. Don't be afraid to, you know, obviously you have to back what you're doing, but don't be afraid to go out early. Don't be afraid to control the map. Coordinate your control of the map, of course. Make sure you stand on those units, but if you deny resources, if you control the map, it's going to be easy for you to sort of sustain a certain amount of play. Now this was a slightly different game, and at the end of this game, so the game here ended it up with one of the opponents finishing. So let's see if we can go to the timeline. One of the opponents finished through the towel in relatively early. Okay, he went 3 TC really early, but he had no military, and we were just able to wipe out whatever he's put out, and he decided to throw the towel in. Now we've got some mixed views here. I need to see what this guy did, which is what I'm going to do in this game now. But we need to see whether this guy like threw the towel in because we kept the pressure on him militarily, because that's what we did. You can see that I'm there on top. Look up, they did a good job, but myself and J3K, we had armies there. 13 villages was starting to come in with his military, and we put pressure on them. So let's see what actually happens. But he threw the towel in, and after that the game sort of, you know, we always had the edge, but same principles followed. We decided to go for map control. It was a random map, so it was interesting. Very strong armies, very strong op. I mean, these two guys were relatively good players. But yeah, another dub, and again, more smart play. I think just overall as a team. I'm going to speed this one up very, very fast. I mean, we're going quite over my normal time speed, but I do want to look at these games because for the team, for us, in terms of how we developed, and, you know, just some other tips for anybody else who can see it and understand sort of what we're looking at doing. Okay. Now, just another nice thing about the dynasty that I'm playing with here, Zuzi, is they've got a very cool benefit. Like with the Tang dynasty, you actually get 15% discount on your age up buildings. So what I tend to do with them, and I haven't really seen anybody talk about it. Okay, yeah, so you get that 15% discount on landmarks. I haven't really seen anybody speak about this, but what I like to do with them is I like to stay in the Tang Dynasty as long as I can. Age up to my first and second age up buildings, and then move to the Song Dynasty by getting both landmarks. That's what I like to do. Okay, anyway, so let's look at the teammates. Standard start from most of us. We have some sleeping villagers here, out of wood, out of things, but there was a lot of map to cover in this random map generation. And the map was a little bit funny and weird. So there's a lot of distraction between the map, but I think maybe something for us to just keep where we are. We had to do a lot of scouting, the position of the armies, and even take a look at this weird lakes. Very very weird map this was. But we stuck to the principles as well. I pro scouted. I pro scouted. I didn't go too far up with this age up building because the map was segmented slightly weird. Um, but yeah, I mean generally all in all, looking very tidy. We got this is J3K, sorry. Yeah, you can see I know that because of this. Um, yeah, going for his age up building. I mean we've been relatively high up chick here. We've got some outlook posts. We've got some lumber caps, and we decided to go high again, but I think Op did the same thing as well. I pro scouted here. I actually built a wall here and realized there was actually a gap over there. Japan played relatively tight. I'm not sure if this is just like, I don't know what this is, if this is like a thing, but I mean I typically build this around the tree line so that you can get ability to get the resources, but this guy played well in the segment that he did. Okay, what happened over here was, okay, here's our first battle. Was we knew that HRE was going for the relics, and I was thinking like, how is he doing this, man? Because I'm not even in the third age, right? And I managed a little bit of things in the map. I wanted to control these relics, preventing Op from getting it. But at the same time, there was a lot of age up happening from Orange. You can see this here. I was trying to stop the age ups over here. And then me and John was playing there. And then we got our horse whipped again. And then 3 Willips got corrected. The HRE player really kept us busy with trying to stop it. He went early minute arms. And yeah, he just called all the relics, man. It was a relic hunt down. But Orange Byzantines came early, and he decided to throw the towel in at this point. And maybe this was a bad quit from him, or maybe I don't know what it was. But look at it. I don't know if he just sort of threw the towel in because all his villages is committed the side, and we sort of had him. But yeah, that was the play. But I think we did well. We controlled the middle, and the Op pushed us a little bit in trying to do the same thing. And I think that's what made this game slightly interesting. And I would have loved to see how it was if Op stayed. Okay, so I think there's a lot we could have improved on in this game. We didn't have a Stonewall plan. I wanted to go 2 TC, I went higher up, but I didn't do a good job in sustaining it. I had my scouts coupled with my cavalry units, something that I do sometimes annoyingly, because what I do is I use I have a button dedicated to all cavalry, so I often just want to select my attacking cavalry, and then I end up doing silly things like including my scouts. So it's something I want to work on, but we were a little bit lopsided, not very coordinated here. But we controlled the map. I love Knights Templar as a teammate on my team because the keeps just help you as a landmark. And you can see I'm starting to play a similar type of game. Mama's baby. Hey, Mama baby. Okay, still watching Dada, yeah. I decided to play a similar game, and I wanted to try and box in Japan. Um, I knew his comp early, and I decided to go sort of horses, and I was slowly starting to go archers. Um, but yeah, we did well. We started to control the map. Um, yeah, we did. I think we did relatively well. We controlled the map, took out early map control, and again, same type of strategy. One thing of my J3K, my cousin was telling me was that he's been improving on his farm transitions, and you know you can see how nicely organized this is. I think he's got a point there. Maybe he could have done a bit more with getting rid of this gold, and he could really flourish with that section of the map. But I think this is the nice thing about the way he's been playing. I did something similar. I got a messy transition. But one thing I wanted to talk about here is the following. Now, one thing I didn't like about myself, or maybe our play, was every duel that came with Japan, I wasn't able to win. I relied on line marks. I wasn't able to win those duels. We had map control, which was good, but I really need to think about opposition's strengths and weaknesses and decide. But he became a target for me. Let's take a look what's happening this side. We've got an army build up, the Genoa crossbowmen. But blue, what a player this was. This was scary. Okay, you're going. Alright, this was scary here. But we picked it up. And you know, luckily we ran into the keep here. We had the right composition. We had the Genoa crossbowman against me at arms. And I think when I saw something like this, it did encourage me also to start changing my comp. I was focused a lot this side of the pitch. And the boys were kind of like asking for help. And I did sort of transition to crossbowmen and horses. But it was late, man. My transition was late. And we adjusted well, we adapted well, we controlled the map, and that's given us the ability to sort of recover quickly, which is another thing my dear cousins told me. But this opposition, I like the way. Check the way he's boxed himself in. He's got his production buildings around. He's got, you know, I don't know. This guy's probably like an architect or something, but he's got. This is the way he's set up. And whenever we decided to come to his production buildings, you'll see what I tried to sort of attempt a raid, but oh, he just really did a good job at it. And now he goes again, 20 taxis, but the problem is there. It's 3v2. We're trying to do the same thing, and he wasn't able to coordinate here. Right. Now what I did was I did a raid here, and this is something I wish I could. I actually want to teach my teammates this. What I do is I have a control group for a second set of horses, and all I do with that horses is raid. Yeah, I never sort of microed properly, but I got to a point where I felt like, okay, I'm having the right comp. And you see, this is the problem that Op does sometimes. They can't multi-manage. So I could have a team there, and I have a control group 2. I have one set of horses, and control group 1. I'll make another set of horses. I'll keep that army pestered there, but I'll use this army to raid. And that's what I did. I just keep slowing this guy's eco down. And you know, I would crossbowman, and I kept my production there because blue was always a problem. It always come in. I thought, okay, let me focus on blue. I made what's them relatively soft. Yeah, so that setup that HRE had. I mean, I don't see why we can't have a setup like that. But yeah, this time the game is done. I'm just so impressed by, the way, the things you can learn from the game. Um, we counted the recounter. Now it would have been a different story had this guy spread his base out a bit better. He compacted into one place. That's something we can learn not to do. And yeah, you just go in and continue recovering again. I still have most of my villages at this point, even after that rush. And yeah, still looking really good. Um, and from here onwards, Blue was susceptible. He had to bring his villagers out. Um, but yeah, it was a GG. So yeah, thanks guys. Um, hopefully we learned something from that one. I pretty much enjoyed watching those two games. And yeah, we move and we live and we learn and we take it as it comes. So yeah, let's see how it goes in the next couple of games. Cheers everyone. Bye.